What do you think of when I say superpower? You'd think of super strength, super speed, flashy heroism. But what if I told you about some different types of superpowers that can only be effective as a group? Or maybe even a gang? Mekaku City Actors is a weird show. Normally in this part I'll define its genre, but I'm just not quite sure. I can say that it's definitely supernatural, I'll give it that, but from what I've seen I just can't define anything more from it. It was based on a series of Vocaloids known as the Kagero Project by Jin. Wait, just Jin? Just Jin? That's one simple pen name. The renamed anime, however, was created by Shaft, also known for their work on Madoka Magica, Nisekoi, and Monogatari, so get ready for some really creative animation. So without further ado, I present the Vital 3 review of Mekaku City Actors. So what is the story of Mekaku City Actors? I have no fucking idea. These 3 episodes were structured as a kind of mini-arc introducing the characters and the concept of the show. We don't see any goals, any particular aims for the series, or anything that could be considered as an example for how the series will progress further on. However, as I mentioned, we did get this cool little mini-arc, and whilst it did not establish the narrative, it established the characters' powers and story elements to expect further on as a kind of sampler. In episode 1 we are introduced to our first character, living at home, never going outside. After he spills a drink on his keyboard, he is forced to go out to buy a new one, being his first time out of his room in ages. But there's one thing I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, he has a Cybergirl AI on his computer that has the ability to transfer itself to different electronic devices. Keep that in mind because it wraps itself back into the overall narrative. So, he goes out, and obviously ends up being a hostage in a heist. He then meets some interesting people, a load of weird stuff happens, and it's all resolved. Then the episode finishes, and we're left with a whole bunch of questions. Who were those people? What the hell happened, etc, etc. Now this is the cool bit, they play a mini Baccano, and the other 2 episodes act as a prequel from another point of view, showing exactly what happened and explaining this group of people known as the Mekaku Shidan, or Blindfold Gang. It's really clever and very gripping. Whilst episode 2 was a bit dull since it was just character development, episode 1 and 3 were just so fun to watch, and by the end of it I just had a wide grin on my face. Everyone in the Blindfold Gang has a power, and they're not just your usual generic powers either. From the ability to draw people's attention to you, to the power to change people's perception of you, it all brings in some interesting character interactions and combinations. So far we've been introduced briefly to the members of the Blindfold Gang and been introduced more thoroughly to the Kisaragi siblings, Shintaro and Momo, with an episode focusing on both of them. Shintaro is a shut-in who spends his days on his computer, never leaving his home, as I've mentioned. This does make him a very dull character in terms of personality, and apart from his as of yet explained backstory, there isn't much interesting about him. This is why the introduction of Ene, his Cybergirl companion, is essential. Ene is enthusiastic, cheeky and exciting. Being inside his computer, she spends the first episode making fun of all the stuff he says on message boards and his files of ill repute. The comedy between the two really made the first episode entertaining and engaging. The second episode followed Momo Kisaragi and shows her discovering her power of drawing people towards her. This episode was interesting in terms of character development, but unfortunately it lacks the entertaining dialogue that episode 1 demonstrated. Momo is a great character regardless, and I love the way that her power ties into her lifestyle of being an idol. Now in the third episode we get this very light introduction to the rest of the Blindfold Gang, which I'm sure will be extended upon in episode 4. I've actually listened to quite a few of the English covers of the Kagero Project Vocaloids over on Jubiphonics channel, which you can navigate to now. Whilst this did spoil some parts of the anime, I can say with certainty that all, and I mean all, of the members of the Blindfold Gang are engaging and interesting to watch, with the interactions between them being heartbreaking and at the same time inspiring. Watching an episode of Mikaku City Actors is like taking a walk through a modern art gallery. It's nonsensical, epileptic, the animation makes no practical sense, and I love it. Only Shaft could create something so incredibly original and interesting to watch. With the use of close-ups, constant changes in animation and colour, I could take any shot from this show, frame it, hang it up on my wall, and nobody would bat an eye. I would recommend Mikaku City Actors on the basis of just its animation, honestly. It's a style that I think all anime fans should experience to be aware of the scope of styles this unique medium encompasses. I want to say more about this, but it's something that can't be described through simple words. It's something that you need to watch and experience for yourself, because it's truly incredible. Mikaku City Actors is not a series that I would recommend you watch if you're looking for straight up entertainment. If you want to take something from the show, you will need to give it a level of investment. You need to appreciate the art style, you need to appreciate the characters, and you need to appreciate their views on society. So my verdict for Mikaku City Actors is keep watching with satisfaction. I do not see this being a show that I can get excited about, but then there's plenty of series this season that already fulfill that role. I see this being something that I occasionally watch when I have the time and enjoy it for what it is. That wraps up the Vital 3 reviews for this season. Any more and they'd start to seem redundant. However, whilst I've only produced 3 videos thus far, I have watched many other series. So I am pleased to announce that the Vital 3 Roundup Awards show will be coming soon to show off my favourite series for spring 2014.